Hey, it's Hunter here with 360 LSAT Tutoring, and today I wanted to go over some things I wish I knew before I started studying for the LSAT. I am someone who scored over 175, and I've tutored for almost 2 years now. So a lot of this advice comes from mistakes that I made personally and mistakes that I see a lot of my students make when they first start studying. So the first thing I want to address is thinking the LSAT is a sprint, not a marathon. This is a huge mistake that people make. They start studying 40, 50 hours a week thinking that they're going to be able to keep that up in the long run. And it's just not feasible, especially a lot of people studying for the LSAT have jobs. They go to school, right? And they have a lot of other things going on in their life. So you want to treat the LSAT like a marathon, not a sprint, right? So don't just run out of the gates, don't just start 50 hours a week and just blindly move in that way, right? You want to create an effective study plan that will allow you to work in the long term. So if you work a job, that might be something as little as 10 hours a week to study for the LSAT. It could be up to 25 if you work a job. You just need to set a healthy study plan that can work in the long run. Along those lines, right, taking a break is really important every now and then. So when you're making a study plan, definitely put in time for breaks. It can be a week, it can be a day, right? But you just need to plan out a little time for yourself because otherwise it's really easy to burn out. The next thing I want to talk about is that a large portion of the LSAT is about your mindset. This is something that athletes see all the time, right? I know there are a lot of quotes about athletes and how the game is 90% mental, right? And that really is how the LSAT is. If you are confident in yourself, you're going to score a lot better. So have that mindset that you can go out and crush the LSAT, right? You don't want to go in and be scared by the LSAT. You want to think that you're going to win the battle. And along those lines, one way to do that is to think of the LSAT as a challenge, not a pain, right? You want to think of it as a healthy challenge that you can achieve your goals on, right? If you think of the LSAT and every time you go to study as this big pain, you're not going to do as well. So you want to find ways to have fun with the LSAT and not think of it as this huge, thing in your way, right? Think of it as a challenge, an obstacle that you can overcome and that you can have fun overcoming, right? You can almost beat the LSAT creators. So if you think of it as a competition, you're much more likely to do well on the LSAT. The next thing I want to talk about, and something that I thought was occurring, was that, there's only one way to do things on the LSAT. This isn't true. There's a lot of ways to achieve high scores on the LSAT. As an example, when I first started studying, I saw that most people were highlighting and underlining and annotating the main points on the reading. And I just couldn't finish the reading. I wasn't a naturally fast reader. So I couldn't finish the reading if I was doing all this annotating. So one day I just decided, you know what, I'm just going to finish the reading section regardless. I'm not even going to worry about how high I score. And along those lines, right, I had to stop highlighting and stop underlining, stop annotating, right, to be able to finish. And I was pretty shocked when I finished the test and went over it. And I had scored 6 answer choices better than my previous best on the reading. And it's something that I didn't know at the time, but now I know for certain, is that there's not only one way to attack the LSAT, right? You have to find what works best for you. Each person is very different, and they have different skill sets. So if you can find what works best for you, that's the best way to approach the LSAT. Don't try to approach it with a cookie-cutter mindset. The next thing I want to talk about is that after you learn the basics, taking tests and blind reviewing them. Blind reviewing is just going over it untimed after you've already taken the test, and really understanding why the right answers are right and the wrong answers are wrong. Taking tests and blind reviewing them are the keys to success after you've learned the basics. So take some time and learn the basics, and then after that, really hone in, take time tests, and take the time to blind review them. Blind reviewing is really the key to LSAT success because it's where you get to see your mistakes. I always make an analogy of taking the time test is like the game, right? Is like playing the basketball game. And blind reviewing is like practice. Practice is where you really get to improve, right? And the game is kind of where you get to see those improvements come to fruition. But the blind review is really important, and it's one of the things that people kind of skip out on, right? Don't skip out on the blind review. It is an area where you're going to see so much improvement in your LSAT abilities. The last thing I want to talk about is this notion that high scorers don't have weaknesses or they don't make mistakes, right? When I first started studying for the LSAT, I was certain that people scoring over 170 didn't have any weaknesses or didn't make any mistakes. But this just isn't true, right? Their weaknesses might not be as glaring, but they still have the weaknesses nonetheless. So it's okay to make mistakes on the LSAT. It's okay to have weaknesses, right? Now, we want to improve those weaknesses to where they're not as bad of weaknesses, but you're going to have a weak section, and that's all right. As far as mistakes go, right, I scored over a 175 on the LSAT, and I probably missed 3, maybe 4 questions on the LSAT. And had I done the test untimed, yeah, I probably could have gotten those questions. But I made mistakes in the time because the LSAT is taken under time conditions. So you can miss 3 and 4 questions and still do really well. You can miss 7 or 8 questions and still do very well on the LSAT. So it definitely is possible for you to make mistakes and do very well still. This is just a short list of the key mistakes that I made on the LSAT or things I wish I knew on the LSAT before I started studying. There's definitely way more. There's so much to learn about the LSAT. If you're interested in tutoring, feel free to email me at 360lsattutoring@gmail.com. I'd be happy to help. Even if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'd be happy to answer those. Good luck with your studies, and good luck on the LSAT.